Hello and welcome to the RG10 podcast. Now, what if saving the planet started not with a protest or a policy, but with a pint? Well, in this episode we sit down with Liz Corse, the organiser behind People Planet Pint in Wokingham, a relaxed, friendly meetup that brings people together over a drink to talk about sustainability, the environment and what we can all do to make a difference. Liz has spent the past couple of years turning what started as a small idea, a casual chat about climate change at the local pub, into a thriving community that sparks real-world action and friendships. It's an approach all about connection over confrontation and conversation over confusion. We're going to talk about how she built this movement locally and why community matters in the fight for a sustainable future. And Liz joins me now. Now, Liz, I gave an overview there, but tell me a bit more.
Well, it is quite simply a place for local community to come together, people who are able to get out on an evening, join us at the Rose Inn in Wokingham. Those who are either concerned or who care about the local community, that enjoy meeting each other in the local community and to enjoy a drink. And it obviously doesn't have to be a pint. It can be a drink of your choice. And it really is an informal gathering. There's no set agenda. And it's such a great way of meeting a real cross-section of our local society.
Is there any particular agenda, anything that you're striving for, anything that comes up?
Well, a lot happens as a result of people, the local community coming together, but there is no intended outcome other than to build local community and local resilience. In terms of some of the success stories, we've had people find jobs through it. We've had a very recent success stories. We found someone to take over the community apple press. I have had people come with me to on trade missions, etc., abroad. So we don't go, nobody goes to People Planet Pint for a specific outcome. You just go because you're curious to meet a cross section of the local community. And what really bonds you or binds us together is a shared love of our community, of the environment, whatever that environment looks like. And a term I use a lot is glocal, and it stands for thinking global but acting local. And for someone who, like me, who lives in Wokingham, there's so much that I can't influence at a global level, even though some of our biggest threats are coming from a global level. And the best way I have found to deal with maybe the anxiety that comes around that potential hopelessness is in local community and finding out about all of the amazing local people that are doing great local projects.
What drew you personally to starting the Wokingham group of People Planet Pint?
Quite selfishly, I was trying to get to People Planet Pint and I just couldn't get to it. They were either in London or in Oxford, and I live in Wokingham. So I was getting increasingly frustrated that I could never go and attend. And we're actually about to celebrate our third year birthday. In fact, this month is our third year anniversary. And I very, very nearly started it in Reading because I assumed that there wouldn't be enough interest here in Wokingham. And I am so, so glad that I started it in Wokingham because it turns out we have got a thriving community and a thriving interest in looking after our community and looking after of people who care about the local environment. I myself work in trying to mitigate and adapt to climate change and nature loss. So it's something that I do for work, but I just felt so alone here in Wokingham. It just felt like there wasn't much of a conversation going. So yeah, 3 years ago, almost to this day, I took myself off and saw who was going to rock up. And thankfully we had 12 people and we've been building on that ever since.
So it was all a bit nerve-wracking then when you started. You didn't really have a clue whether it was going to be successful or not.
No, oh no, absolutely. I was absolutely terrified and prepared to be just myself. So of course, I brought in a couple of friends. I brought in my cousin Anna Watson, who's now become my co-host, and another friend because I thought, well, worst case scenario, if nobody turns up, it'll just be a nice drink at the pub, just the three of us. And I think what has what has really shaped it for me is that, whether you work in this space or not, I'm a parent. I care about what is going to be the future of my children. And whilst I might work in it, it's not necessarily the conversations I have in my local in Wokingham are not the things that I'm talking about when I'm on stage in London or doing events abroad. I really, really wanted to find a way of connecting with other people who are doing good things in the area that I live without it feeling like work. We're not trying to influence anyone. We're not trying to get anybody to buy anything. It was just really to create a peer group of local people who who care or are curious enough about what is going on locally to protect what we hold dear, which is making sure that we have a healthy environment for ourselves and our children and our neighbors. And yeah, it's been what I've loved about it is not having an agenda, just letting people come together. And every People Planet Pint across the country will have a very different feel because ultimately you are the culture of the people that you bring together.
Have you seen people going from, I guess, concerned when they first joined to active through the group? Any stories like that?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, if I think of some of the local residents who, they don't work in this space, they maybe feel that they're what can they do because they're just one person. And one of the exciting things to come out the group is that a number of them have come together to launch a plastic-free initiative for Wokingham. And it's just given people a real sense of camaraderie, of being able, they've had a little bit of money from the council to help set it up. And they're now working on encouraging businesses in the town centre to think of ways that they can reduce our plastic. And the great thing is that, you know, we are on track for having more plastic in our oceans by weight than fish by 2050. This is a wake up call. This is a health concern more than an environmental concern. Yes, it's how do you get involved? And it can feel so far away if you're just one person. But yeah, I can think of a number of people who've come together who have worked on building this project. It's also been a great place for sharing the initiatives that are happening. So across the entire borough, we have quite a number of repair cafes. Now that works so well for many of us because of the cost of living crisis. It is so much cheaper to repair than to buy new. It's obviously great if we're using less and buying and consuming less stuff. And so we have really found it to be a great place to just share initiatives that are already happening. We also then have a number of different moments, if you will, where we just go further out into the community. So the last one we did is we had a climate comedy night where our climate comedian was explaining about the link between our pension funds, where our money goes when they're invested in pension funds, and the future of the environment and how those two things are going to clash at some point. And a lot of people, it was the first time that they'd really thought, oh, hang on a minute, I do maybe have more influence in who I bank with and where I put my money. And these are things that, most of us just aren't aware of. So it really has been a place for people to discover what is happening. And we're also time poor, so
Mm.
we're time poor, we're money poor, and there's just this real sense of you find out what there is and then everybody leans into the bits that they're most interested in.
What's been, I guess, your most memorable or indeed surprising conversation that you've had at a meetup? Can you think of anything? I've put you on the spot rather there.
Well, most surprising conversation. We have, if I can start by answering with, there's a lot of things that are not a surprise. So we have quite a lot of people in the group who have absolutely gone all out on making their homes effectively run free, almost free, because they've installed all sorts of heat pumps. And so in terms of emissions and cost savings, these are almost a type of conversations that you would have expected to get out of people who know about this space and who can really give you a lot of advice as to how you can reduce your bills, etc. But things that I never would have expected is to come across an example like Freely Fruity, which is run by a local organization who have now been recognized. I can't remember which award it was, but it's something to do with a royal recognition. And what they do is they try and turn little chunks of land around the borough into food producing. So it's planting trees, planting fruit, Freely Fruity. And to just know that there was this initiative, I would never have come across that because I work in Wokingham, but I tend to spend a lot of my time in London and abroad. Um, yeah, that was probably quite a surprising conversation. And then there's also the conversations with some of the other regular attendees that go to the pub, who I've almost become friendly with because they see us there on the first Thursday of every month. Um, and one person that was very surprising, who really did care a lot about the environment, but had a totally opposite view to me in terms of how we should be dealing with fossil fuels and the realistic way to wean ourselves off of that. So I suppose what I really appreciated in that moment was the fact that we were able to have almost like is it agree disagreeably? Like it was such a nice opportunity to meet someone who had quite a different view and perspective, but because people are coming with quite a curious mindset and just quite interested to learn about other people, and because there is no agenda, there's nobody has to sign up to anything to be there, it has created a good chance to hear different views and learn about everything from the technical, where it comes to doing heat pumps and installing solar panels, all the way to tree planting and fruit planting, and everything in between.
A broader reflection now, if we can. What gives you hope right now in the climate or sustainability movement? Because let's face it, it's so easy to get rather down on what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, I think we have to be really realistic about the fact that none of the global indicators are going in a positive direction, right? So I certainly got I woke up to the problem of climate change when I had my son. Suddenly my horizons had changed. Suddenly I wasn't just thinking about my lifetime, but my kids' lifetime. And we're now seeing, some really, I guess it's the buy now, pay later, the paying later is coming now. But to answer your question, what gives me hope is seeing how many other people do care. It might not be their top priority because everybody's dealing with a lot of things, but every month we have an incredible group of people, both that are returning to People Planet Pint or new attendees, who care enough to give up an evening and just come and meet with other people who are actively trying to make a change or influence something in their world. And we can only do what we can do within our circle of influence. And a lot of my day job is around working with entrepreneurs who are coming up with fantastic solutions. But from a local level, the things to have hope on is that there is more that unites us. We should all care about clean air. That's not an environmental thing, it's a health thing. The fact that we want our children to be healthy. We don't want them to be eating horrendous things. So I think it's about trying to find the common ground. It's so much easier to say than to do. And I think obviously now that we're all in our individual silos, it becomes even harder to break out. But yeah, for me, People Planet Pint has probably been one of the most hopeful things I've done, because it is a monthly reminder that I am not alone and that there are lots of other people from all walks of life who all care. And whether they care more about carbon emission pollution or simply protecting our nature and our environment, there's such a huge gambit in terms of the types of reasons people come into it. There is a lot more people who care than don't.
Finally, then, how can people get involved and find out more?
Well, very simply, if you are ever able to join us in Wokingham on the first Thursday of every month, you will find me and my co-host Anna Watson in the parlour downstairs. There's always
At the
around
Rose.
at the Rose
Yeah.
Inn in Wokingham, that's right. And
On
we are all
Marketplace, that is, isn't it?
the
It's just off the
marketplace,
Marketplace.
yeah. And we do it from 6 p.m., but you drop in whenever you can. We've even had people rock up, after dropping off their kids at all of the various events and the things we have to do. So they might come from 8 o'clock, and we're generally there until about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And if you don't mind me adding, we are going to do a 3-year birthday party on the Thursday, the 8th of January. So if you're still listening to this and it's not the 8th of January 2026, please come and join us, because what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a couple of local speakers, local projects, and we're also just going to share some of the success stories and the wins that have resulted out of people coming together on a regular basis.
Liz, fantastic, fascinating stuff, and sounds like you're doing some wonderful work, and the best of luck for the future as well.
Thank you so much, Ben.
That's it for today's episode. A big thank you to Liz, and if today's chat inspired you, then you can find out all the details at peopleplanetpint.co.uk, and when you do go to your first meetup, do let them know that you heard about it here. In fact, why not tell everybody about the RG10 podcast whilst you're at it? Thanks for listening, and goodbye.